Willie Nelson's story begins in Abbott, Texas, a tiny farming town where life in the 1930s was defined by hard work and very little comfort. Born on April 29, 1933, Willie Hugh Nelson entered a world shaped by the lingering effects of the Great Depression. His parents were very young and struggling, and before long they left, leaving Willie and his sister Bobby in the care of their grandparents. Alfred and Nancy Nelson were strict but loving, and they filled the house with faith, discipline, and music. Nancy ordered songbooks and insisted the children learn to read music. At 6 years old, Willie held his first guitar, an instrument that quickly became more than a hobby. In a quiet house on dusty Texas land, music offered him something steady. It gave a lonely boy a language for feelings he couldn't yet explain, and it planted the first seeds of a lifelong calling. Music as a way to belong. Growing up without his parents left an invisible mark on Willie, but music helped him find a sense of belonging. By the time he was 9, he was already performing in a small local band, earning a few dollars and gaining confidence on stage. At 10, he began writing his own songs, filling notebooks with thoughts far beyond his years. Outside of school, he worked in cotton fields and hay barns, learning the value of labor and patience. But even during those long days, songs were always forming in his mind. The radio brought him gospel, blues, and western swing, and every sound seemed to find a place inside him. Music was never just entertainment. It was a form of understanding the world. For Willie, each chord and lyric felt like a small step towards something bigger, though he had no clear map for how that future would unfold. Searching for a place in the world. After graduating from high school in 1950, Willie left Abbott with determination but very little direction. Like many young people from small towns, he believed opportunity waited somewhere beyond familiar roads. He briefly joined the United States Air Force, hoping structure might shape his future, but a back problem led to an early discharge. Back in Texas, he moved through a series of ordinary jobs, selling Bibles, working as a plumber's apprentice, pumping gas, while still chasing music whenever he could. Nights were often spent performing in honky-tonks or working at small radio stations as a disc jockey. The pay was modest, but every performance sharpened his ability to connect with listeners. He learned how to speak to someone through a microphone as if they were the only person in the room. During those uncertain years, music remained the one thread tying his life together. A gifted songwriter in the shadows. While Willie struggled to build his own career, his songwriting quietly began to shape country music. Living modestly and writing constantly, he created songs that would later become classics. Hello, Walls. Funny how time slips away, and Crazy carried emotional depth that listeners instantly recognized. When singers like Patsy Cline recorded Crazy, the song became a massive success and one of the most beloved country recordings ever made. Yet the industry still saw Willie mainly as a songwriter, not a performer. Producers often said his voice sounded too unusual and his phrasing too relaxed. At the time, Nashville preferred a polished style known as the Nashville sound. Willie's natural style, slightly behind the beat and deeply conversational, didn't fit the formula. Even though his songs were filling radio stations, the man who wrote them remained largely out of the spotlight. Walking away from Nashville. Years of compromise eventually wore him down. In Nashville, many of Willie's recordings were heavily arranged with strings and background singers, softening the raw honesty he preferred. The music felt distant from the way he performed live. In 1970, after a house fire destroyed much of his property in Tennessee, Willie took the moment as a sign to start over. He left Nashville behind and returned to Texas. The move changed everything. In Austin during the early 1970s, a new generation of listeners, college students, artists and musicians, were rediscovering country music in a more relaxed and authentic form. When Willie performed at local venues, audiences responded immediately to his sincerity. They weren't interested in polished perfection. They wanted something real. For the first time in years, Willie felt free to play music exactly the way he heard it in his head. A life filled with music and movement. From that point forward, Willie Nelson's career moved with remarkable momentum. He recorded albums constantly, toured across the country, and collaborated with artists from many genres. His concerts became gatherings where generations of fans shared songs that felt deeply personal to them. Over time, he released hundreds of recordings and performed thousands of shows. Yet, despite the fame, he remained connected to the spirit of the small-town musician who simply loved playing guitar for people. His songwriting continued to explore themes of love, time, regret, and forgiveness, subjects that listeners everywhere could relate to. Through changing trends in the music industry, Willie stayed consistent. His braided hair, relaxed stage presence, and weathered guitar named Trigger became symbols of a career built not on image, but on authenticity. Facing financial hardship, even legendary careers encounter unexpected challenges. In the early 1990s, Willie faced a major financial crisis when tax complications left him owing a large sum of money. Instead of disappearing from the public eye, he addressed the situation in the most natural way he knew, through music. He recorded the IRS tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories, a simple album featuring just his voice and guitar. Fans responded with overwhelming support, purchasing the recordings and attending concerts to help him recover financially. Over time, Willie paid off the debt and regained stability. The experience reminded him how deeply his music had connected with people. It also reinforced a belief he had carried since childhood, that songs and relationships mattered far more than material possessions. Family, loss, and reflection. Like anyone who lives a long life, Willie has also faced personal losses and difficult moments. Friends, collaborators, and loved ones have passed away over the years, leaving spaces that music alone cannot fill. Those experiences gradually shaped the tone of his later performances. His voice, already distinctive, gained even more emotional depth. When he sang about time, memory, and love, audiences could hear the life behind every word. At the same time, he became more focused on family. Later in life, he spent more time with his children and grandchildren, enjoying moments that touring once made difficult. The man who spent decades on the road began to appreciate quieter days at home in Texas, where the pace of life allowed reflection as well as creativity. Enduring through the year's age inevitably brings physical challenges, but Willie Nelson continued performing well into his later years. Health concerns occasionally required him to slow down, yet the stage remained a place where he felt most alive. Even when performances became shorter or less frequent, the connection between artist and audience stayed powerful. His voice carried the texture of decades, stories told through tone rather than volume. Listeners often describe a special moment during his concerts when the crowd grows still, listening closely to a familiar song delivered with quiet sincerity. Those moments remind people why his music matters. They are not about spectacle, they are about shared emotion and recognition. A legacy built on honesty. What makes Willie Nelson unique is not just his long career or his many awards. It is the honesty that runs through everything he has done. From the boy holding a guitar in Abbott to the elder musician performing before devoted fans, he has remained unmistakably himself. He wrote songs about real feelings, accepted mistakes openly, and continued creating even during difficult times. His music has accompanied weddings, road trips, late-night reflections, and countless personal memories for listeners around the world. In that way, His legacy lives not only in recordings, but also in the lives of the people who found comfort in his songs. The song that never ends today, Willie Nelson stands as one of the most enduring figures in American music. His journey from a small Texas town to international recognition reflects perseverance, creativity, and authenticity. Decades after his first performances, he still represents the idea that music can be simple and deeply meaningful at the same time. The worn guitar called Trigger still appears beside him, its scars telling their own story of years on the road. And whenever Willie sings, listeners hear more than a melody. They hear a lifetime of experience shaped into song. That is why his music continues to resonate. Long after the stage lights fade, the feeling his songs create remains like a conversation that never truly ends.